Abraham, in between rounds, was there any questionable injuries or any possible ailments that you had suffered in the first fight coming into the second?
No, I was actually feeling all right. You know, nothing than just a couple bumps and bruises. Nothing too serious. Honestly, I was a man on a mission. This was a very tough camp for me. I averaged like 4 hours of sleep a night. My girls in the hospital, I just work and business. And I'm just very focused, very dedicated, and there was just no doubt in my mind that this was coming with me.
We had interviewed you yesterday for our podcast. This podcast is about stuff. And we asked you a very important question, which was, what were you going to eat afterwards? And you said a medium steak. How was the steak and where'd you get it?
Actually, we went to Fleming's. It was phenomenal. I love Fleming's. I got a 12-ounce fillet with a lobster and a little caviar with a little béarnaise sauce. Oh, it was money. And I got some mac and cheese.
Awesome. Thank you.
I might just ask Richard a quick question too about your emotions afterwards. For those who don't know the story, he lost a young son, and that is where his nickname came from, Maximus. And then you had twin daughters, right, who were born prematurely. So you've been through it with your children, and it was a big moment for you to be able to show them that Dad had made this accomplishment on the biggest kickboxing stage in the world, and that emotion started to come out in the post-fight interview with Todd.
Yeah, yes it did. My first son, his name is Maximus. That's why my gym's name Maximus. That's why my nickname is Maximus. He would, on May 24th, he would have been 3 years old. And ever since he passed away, I've been kind of on a mission to get his name out there, because he cannot. So while there's still breath in my lungs, I will continue to do that. And ever since we talked about just having one kid, and since he passed, we've had 3 more. I have a son, 18 months, named Titus Maximus Abraham, strong name. And then Miss Kelly and Miss Athena. Yeah.
If you'll hand that microphone off to John Franklin. We didn't announce this during the event, but it's important to note that there was a bit of kickboxing history tonight with that main event of the Glory Middleweight Championship. As we understand it, it was the first time that a world kickboxing belt at any division was up for grabs with 2 North American contenders. So it was a great night for Glory, but a big night for kickboxing.
Yeah, we were pretty excited to see 2 North Americans in the finals fighting for the belt. Simon Marcus from Canada, bringing it down from the north, and then Dustin Jacoby from my hometown of Denver. So, big deal for all of us, and it was a great fight back and forth. Dustin, as everyone saw, showed a lot of heart getting up from that second knockdown. So great to see it. What I'd like to do first is to thank everyone for coming out tonight. Thank the press for helping to expose us. Thank Todd Grisham for setting us up on SportsCenter earlier in the week, and for sending our knockouts out tonight so to be posted on the ESPN site. So that's a big deal to us. It's a pipeline right to the American sports fan, and that's what we need to do with Glory, because anybody that sees Glory loves Glory. So we just need to expose it. In Europe, we get out there and we've got 10,000 people watching in the stands, and the goal is to do the same thing here in America. So thank you all for coming out and joining us. The news of the day, we always like to release a little news. Yesterday we talked about our new women's division, and today we're announcing our next fight, which will be, fight coming up is June 25th in Amsterdam. And then next after that will be July 22nd in Virginia, so we're turning to Virginia. We had a great crowd in Virginia last year. A lot of military folks showed up to watch the event. Great fights. We had Mike Tyson visit us in Virginia last year, so we'll pull out the stops again in Virginia this year, hoping for a big crowd. We're going to have a world title fight between Gabriel Varga and Sergey Adamchuk. Adamchuk stepped up in Copenhagen, went up a weight class, and won a fight there, coming right back out to defend his title. So that'll be a great evening in Virginia. But first, we're going to stop in Amsterdam. It's the spiritual home of Glory. So we're excited to go back to Amsterdam. And with that, I will turn it over to our native Amsterdam, Thor Hemmers, to talk a little bit about what's coming up in Amsterdam.
Okay. Yeah. What I want to add to your explanation explanation, John, first is that I see in general the level of all the Americans growing and coming up, and I'm very proud of that. And I think Dustin is a great example of a guy that we scouted 2 years ago in the road to glory, and he built himself, developed to a title shot, and actually he fought a guy who is long in this game, Simon Marcus. He's a very experienced guy, the champion. I think Dustin did a great job, so I'm happy to see that the American fighters are really coming up now. I never doubted on the fighting spirit of the Americans. They are athletic, the competition is great, but it is still the experience, and I think Dustin is a great example for all Americans. That there is a future in the sport, also for American guys. Coming back to Amsterdam, we have there the world title fight in the lightweight division. That's actually the division that you saw Marat Grigorian tonight. Marat is I think now with this knockout he's the number 3. In Amsterdam we will have Romy van Roosmalen, who is the champion, fighting with Sitsong Pinong. He won the contender tournament. Marat was in the final with him. He just lost on a close decision. So this is a very exciting fight for the world. Sittichai is actually the best Thai we have around now in the world. Romy van Roosmalen is a great fighter. He's the champion. He will defend his title. And then we have also another title fight in the light heavyweight, which will be Artur Vakitov with Murat Bouzi. Then we have a contender in the welterweight division. That's actually the division that Richard fought tonight, the qualifier. So he qualified actually to be in the next contender. The next contender that we have now is next month, so that's a little bit too early for Richard, but the upcoming contender, he will definitely be there. In the meantime, he can do a little bit more single fights to get more experience, but he he qualified himself for the upcoming contender. The contender in Amsterdam is a very strong one this time. We have Myrtle Boenert inside, Harut Grigorian. It's also a strong new fighter who just made his debut and won by a spectacular knockout. Then we have Karim Betmansour, it's a new guy from France, but a very experienced guy. And we have Johan Congolo, who just fought for the title. The winner of this contender will challenge Nicky Holzke, and that will be, I can tell something about it. I think that title defense of Holzke will be in America also. So I think great things to expect from the event in Amsterdam, and we can all follow it live again. UFC Fight Pass HBN. So I think we are on a good road with our product.
John mentioned, hell, I was just working.
There we go, just don't move. John mentioned the big announcement yesterday of the first women's division, the super bantamweight, and what a way to kick it off with the first quarterfinal in a 8-women Grand Prix tournament. The next quarterfinal will be in Amsterdam as well.
Correct, I forgot that. And how can I forget the women? In my life, I always,
you were mentioning spirited Americans. Tiffany certainly showed up spirited tonight.
Of course, so not only the men but also the women here in America have the spirit to fight. And Tiffany showed up tonight. She did the first quarterfinal of our tournament format, and the next one will be Isis Verbeek. It's a Dutch girl with English girl Iman Paulo. She's actually one of the best girls in that division at the moment, together with Tiffany, I think. So she will fight the next quarterfinal in Amsterdam, and yeah, we will see who will be the winner, and finally go to the semi-finals to face Tiffany again, because she progressed one step now into the semi-finals.
I also want to mention this because Esma is with us here tonight. Many people may not know. 18 years old, I announced that in the ring, but she took this fight on short notice, and Cor can tell you it was tough to find women that would step into the ring with Tiffany Van Soest.
Yeah, the problem was that in America we couldn't find an opponent for Tiffany because the level of Tiffany is far high above the other girls in America. So we couldn't find an opponent in America. So we looked for another opponent on the last moment. That opponent was cancelled, and then we needed to find somebody who wanted to step in. And this 18-year-old girl, Esma, she said, "Okay, I'm gonna do it." And I think we saw that Tiffany was very experienced compared to the experience of Esma. But after the knockdown, I think, oh, this is going wrong. But I saw a very character for fighting spirit. 18-year-old girl who stand up and continue to fight, and she stayed dangerous, and all respect came from Tiffany after the fight. Direction Esma, so I think she did a great job. 18 years old, so definitely we will see her again in the future in our women's division.
We don't do this often, but in the press conference, if you would just give a hand for Esma, she's sitting right here. I'm going to ask Murat real quick a question. He may need help from Nikki, I don't know, but just a quick question about if you were disappointed in Paris, obviously, how important was it for you to come back and have a good fight tonight following your loss to Sidicha?
He said he was very disappointed for his fight in Paris against Sidicha. It was a tough fight, but he think he did better. And he wanted to prove himself again, and not by decision. He wanted to give a KO, and I think he did that in a spectacular way today.
And as I mentioned, I really feel like after watching him fight several times in Glory, he really is at the top of his game right now. Anyone else have questions? Yeah, down here.
John from the MMA Complex. This is for Murat. Talk about how you set up the finish. Did you see it coming? Was it something that you worked on to land the kick? And who would you like to face next?
He was just fighting, and he saw a hole. He saw a fault in his defense, and he saw it good. So he really punished him with that. And who he wants to fight next, he wants to fight the best. So whoever steps up and is the best or has the title, he wants him.
Hi, Raph, Verbal Tap. This question is for Murat. How many times will you watch your knockout in a row?
I hardly ever watch my own fights.
You should, though. That was a good one. If there's one to watch that one.
But he said, I'm definitely going to watch this one again.
My next question is actually for Rich. Rich, you were having a lot of success with your overhand right, and I wanted to know, what do you attribute to your success? Was it that, or was it something else for the two fights? And the second part is, what adjustments did you have to make from fight to fight? Because it looks like you really had to make a lot of recalibrations as you were going into renounce.
For most of my camp, excuse me, for most of my camp, I only trained for Casey. It was just focused on getting past him. There's no point to focus on anything else other than getting past him, because if you don't get past him, there's no other fight. So I just really focused on him, and that was my my main focus. My overhand right, I saw it in his previous fights. I knew it was there. You know, everyone knows I throw an overhand right, but it can't stop it. It's just something that comes, and I find it, my timing's pretty good on it. So I do enjoy throwing that. So the second fight, I had to adjust, and it was a different guy. I knew he was throwing big shots. I knew he was tired. He had hell of leg kicks. They were coming in hard. I was checking them. But he did a good job. He's a really powerful guy, real powerful, real dangerous guy. So I kind of slowed it down and just tried to outpoint him.
This question goes for Murat. For every fight that you have, is there any particular playlist you have, like music that you listen to, or you just go guns blazing and train? You know, what do you listen to? You don't mind me asking?
He likes to listen to relaxed music, most instrumental, not too much noises, just relax, and he likes to focus.
think it's better
Do you-
that we listen to relaxed music because if this is the result, what happens when you listen to heavy disco?
My question is for Abraham. Is there one thing, if anything, that surprised you about Casey Green tonight?
You know, no, I honestly I knew he was going to be really tough. He's a super strong dude. I honestly didn't think I was going to hurt him. I figured that I would definitely get him to respect my power. Because when he fought Morales, he just didn't respect it at all. So he just kind of marched through all of his shots. But I knew as soon as I touched him, he would respect my strength. And actually, when I heard him, I was surprised. I felt like I rocked him multiple times in the fight. I saw his legs get a little wobbly, and I tried to finish him, but he's a really tough guy.
Also, is there any 4-man or 8-man one-night tournaments that you guys plan on doing in the future?
Yeah, we will follow our format that we have. So the 4-man tournament will every time return. So in every weight division, we do at least 2 4-man tournaments in a year to determine the challenger for the championship. So yeah, the answer is yes. 8-man tournament, we don't do it at this moment, but we just launched an 8-women tournament. Because of the time slot on television, we spread it over the rest of the year, because an 8-man or an 8-women tournament is just a little bit too long to broadcast it live at the moment. So that's the reason why we definitely are into our 8-man tournament structure. We'll be back in the future, perhaps, but we continue with 4-men for now.
We get one more question.
James from MMA Complex. My question is for John. I think you guys announced some fights for Europe and also for Virginia. I guess we come back to LA anytime soon.
Yeah, I think as we do, we're trying to do 1 show a month. Of course, the show is comprised of 2 shows plus the undercard. So plan would probably be to come back to LA early next year, or middle of next year, just same pattern we're on now. But great fans out there. Everybody was screaming, really excited about it. Brought in more people this time than we did last time. So we continue to grow our platform in LA. So happy to be here. I'd like to come back.
I'm sure we'd all like to say thank you not only to the fans here in the Los Angeles area in California for their support of Glory and for the sport of kickboxing, but thanks especially to our partners, our broadcast partners, ESPN Fight Pass for their coverage of the Super Fight Series, or excuse me, UFC Fight Pass for the Super Fight Series, and ESPN 3 for the numbered series, Glory 30. That will air. Do we know when? It's on tape delay.
Yeah, it will air again on ESPN 2, 9 o'clock on Sunday night. So that's 6 o'clock here in California, 9 o'clock on the East Coast. In addition, the show does live on the Watch ESPN app. So you can pick it up anytime you want just by dialing in and going on it. The same thing with Fight Pass. You can watch the Super Fight Series on Fight Pass. In addition, our entire library through 2015 is also on the UFC Fight Pass, along with a lot of other content we own, old the Showtime fights, some K1 fights. So there's lots of kickboxing on Fight Pass. You can go to Fight Pass and pick it up anytime. So we are the exclusive kickboxing provider to UFC Fight Pass, and there's a ton of kickboxing on Fight Pass now.
It's a great partnership, the #1 kickboxing organization in the world with the #1 sport network in the world, and of course the #1 MMA organization in the world. So with that, we'll say thank you. Thanks for coming out tonight. Again, coming up next, it will be Glory 31 in Amsterdam, followed by Glory 32 in July in Virginia. And so we'll say as we wrap things up, Amsterdam, are you ready for Glory?
Yep.
This podcast is about stuff.
We'll do a slow motion.
So we can